everyone. I'm Jeff Hampton with the Hampton Law Firm. Welcome to our YouTube channel. Today I want to discuss with you the topic, how to beat a drug trafficking charge in Texas. And we're going to talk about 5 ways that you can do that. Now, if you'll wait around to the end of this video, I'm also going to give you a free ebook, How to Beat a Drug Charge in Texas. All right, let's jump right in. Now, before I identify the 5 possible ways that you can beat a drug trafficking charge in Texas, I think it's important that we look at the 3 main things that you allegedly have to do in order to be charged with a drug trafficking charge. Okay, so let's first identify the state of Texas, how they give a definition of drug trafficking. All right, the Texas Controlled Substances Act defines drug trafficking as the manufacturing or delivery of controlled substances. Of course, in that situation, if it's any type of drug trafficking is a felony. Okay, you're looking at a felony charge. So controlled substances are divided into different penalty classes, and the way that they're broken up, penalty group 1 is the one that most people know about. You talk about things like cocaine, you talk about heroin, methamphetamine, morphine, oxycodone. There's all types of common drugs that the more of what people think of as the hard drugs that fall into that group number 1 that we're going to spend some time talking about. Okay, so here's the definition. If you knowingly transport, distribute, or possess with an intent to distribute controlled substances, you can be charged. Okay, if you intentionally or knowingly do so. So let's talk about transporting. What does it mean to transport? An individual knowingly transports drugs. One way you can do it is in a vehicle from one location to another. Now, I give some examples to this as we talk about it. If you're caught physically moving a large amount of illegal drugs from place to place, this could be seen as transporting, okay? That's what that means. If you move it from one location to another location, that is a type of drug trafficking, okay? Now, that may not be what you normally think of, but transporting a large amount of drugs from one location to another can be drug trafficking. Now, what about distribution? An individual knowingly distributes drugs from one person to another. So you don't actually have to be moving the controlled substances in a vehicle or actually going anywhere yourself to be charged. You could transfer those drugs from one person to another person in any way, and under the law, it's arguably distribution. That's another way the law says you can engage in drug trafficking. So I give the example of, let's say you are storing drugs in an apartment and then handed them over to someone else. And you're not selling drugs. You say, I'm not trafficking drugs. And someone else sells them. Under the law says even handing them over to someone else, that could be seen as drug trafficking, okay? Finally, possessing with intent to distribute. Now, what is that? An individual knowingly possesses drugs with the intent of distributing them to at least one other person. So let's say you've got drugs in an apartment, using the same example. You're not moving them and no one has come over to pick them up, but this could still end up resulting in a drug trafficking charge if you are found with the substances and there's a large amount of them. So I see this happen all the time, where someone will have more than a usable quantity of a substance, and the officers will just say, all right, looks to me, because of the large amount, this was the intent to distribute. That's the only reason why you would have had it. Now, that may not be true, but that's what they throw on possession with intent to distribute. So penalties for this, all right? Now, here's what's important to know. If the amount is under 1 gram, many times that can be just a state jail felony, punishable by up to 180 days in jail and up to a $10,000 fine. But I want you to understand, when you add a delivery element to it, or with intent to deliver, it raises that range of punishment up a degree. Okay, that's what happens under the law. So you go between 1 and 4 grams, that actually moves it from normally a 3rd-degree felony, but with intent to distribute, it moves it to a 2nd-degree felony. If it's between 4 and 200 grams, it now goes from what would normally be a 2nd-degree felony up to a 1st-degree felony, up to 5 to life in prison. What if it's over 200 grams but less than 400 grams? I mean, literally, you're talking about now anywhere between 10 to life in prison. You're talking about large prison sentences that are involved, because the trafficking element enhances the range of punishment. Okay, so the reason why I bring this up is to say there are 5 ways. We talked about the 5 ways, right? It's important when you're talking about serious charges like this, what are 5 ways to attack and defeat a drug trafficking charge? Number 1, the arresting officer may not have followed the protocol in the search or the seizure of the evidence or in the traffic stop that may have led to the discovery of the drugs. Okay? So what do I mean by that is if the officers did not follow the law and they did not have reasonable suspicion to pull you over, then everything after that is not admissible in court. If they should have had a warrant, and that's one of our next points here, the evidence can be invalid because they needed to have a search warrant and they chose not to get one. Well, if they needed a warrant and they did not get one, everything that comes after that is not admissible in court. That's number 2. Number 3, maybe this evidence is not relevant to your case. Maybe you're there, but there's 4 other people standing there and they had those drugs and they tried to group it all together with you and claim you were all dealing it. The reality of it is they have to prove you intentionally or knowingly were doing so, and it may not be relevant to you at all, okay? Number 4, the amount of the drug in question may be wrong. I've seen it sometimes where they do what they call a presumptive weight of the drugs out on the side of the road, and that amount can be way higher than what it turns out to be when it gets to the lab. So sometimes we can present that information to the grand jury to help lower your charges to a lesser charge. Finally, you did not knowingly or intentionally possess, transport, or distribute the drug. Maybe you were there and there were drugs in the vehicle, but you had no idea that they were there. Okay? They have to affirmatively link these drugs to you, and they have to prove this criminal intent element to your case. And remember, the state of Texas must prove the case beyond a reasonable doubt. If they're not able to do that, then you need to get a lawyer who is going to fight the case and do everything they can to try to get this thing dismissed because it may not be able to be proven in court. Now, that emphasizes the importance of making sure you have a good attorney working on your side. If you would like us at the Hampton Law Firm to analyze your case, we're willing to offer a free case analysis. You have nothing to lose. Give us a call. We'd be happy to go over it with you. Contact the Hampton Law Firm at 817-877-5200. We'll be happy to answer all your questions. And I promised you if you waited around to the end of this video, I'd give you a free ebook, How to Beat a Drug Charge in Texas. Click the link right down here below, and we will be happy to send that over to you. Thanks again for joining us today. Look forward to seeing you on our next video.